The Harrison Group's mahogany-paneled boardroom felt suffocating as my Uncle Richard stood at the head of the table, his face flushed with the peculiar shade of red that only comes from exercising power over others. The quarterly family business meeting had devolved into exactly what I'd expected: my execution. I sat quietly in my ergonomic chair, the only modern piece of furniture I'd managed to introduce to the company in my 3 years as operations director. My laptop remained closed, its sterling silver case reflecting the afternoon sun. If they only knew what that subtle S logo really meant. Thomas, Richard's voice boomed across the table, your experimental approaches to modernizing our operations have gone too far. Digital transformation? Automated systems? This isn't some Silicon Valley startup. My cousin Jennifer, Richard's daughter and the company's self-proclaimed marketing genius, smirked from her seat. We're a 100-year-old shipping company, Tommy. Not everything needs an app. If they'd bothered to read any industry reports, they'd know that digital transformation wasn't just trendy, it was survival. But the Harrison Group, under my uncle's leadership, remained stubbornly anchored in the past, like a ship refusing to acknowledge that the tide had changed. The numbers speak for themselves, I said calmly, though I knew it wouldn't matter. This meeting's outcome had been decided long before I walked in. Numbers? My uncle laughed harshly. Your projects have cost us millions. These technological improvements are bleeding us dry. Actually, my initiatives had saved the company $12 million in operational costs over the past year, but they'd conveniently ignored those figures in their rush to maintain the status quo. If you'd look at the long-term projections. I started. Enough. Richard slammed his hand on the table. The board has reached a decision. Your position as operations director is terminated, effective immediately. The board, consisting entirely of family members who'd never worked anywhere else, nodded in unified satisfaction. My Aunt Patricia, who'd been appointed CFO solely because she was Richard's wife, couldn't quite hide her pleased expression. You're fired, Richard declared, clearly savoring the moment. Please clear out your office by end of day. What they didn't know, what none of them had bothered to investigate, was that while they were clinging to their outdated methods, I'd been building something of my own. Sterling Enterprises, my technology and logistics conglomerate, had spent the past 5 years quietly revolutionizing the shipping industry. And as of this morning, we'd completed our final acquisition. Actually, I said, opening my laptop, there's something you should see. Breaking news headlines flashed across the boardroom's display screen. Sterling Enterprises acquires Harrison Group in surprise takeover. Shipping giant falls to tech innovator. Thomas Sterling revealed as tech mogul behind industry revolution. The silence in the room was absolute. Jennifer's smirk froze, then crumbled. Aunt Patricia's self-satisfied smile vanished. What is this? Richard sputtered, his face transitioning from rage red to panic pale. Sterling Enterprises, I explained calmly, has just completed its acquisition of the Harrison Group. The paperwork was finalized 20 minutes ago. Sterling. Jennifer's voice cracked. But you're a Harrison. Thomas Sterling Harrison, I corrected. Though I've been operating under Thomas Sterling professionally, you'd know that if you'd ever bothered to research who was revolutionizing our industry. My uncle grabbed his phone, probably to call his lawyers. This is impossible. The board would never approve. The board. I smiled slightly. You mean the family members you appointed who've been selling their shares to my shell companies for the past 2 years? They approved it this morning. Unanimously. The display screen continued showing headlines that would reshape not just our family, but the entire shipping industry. Sterling Enterprises, the silent giant behind shipping's digital revolution. Tech mogul returns home. Thomas Sterling's secret path to industry dominance. Harrison Group acquisition marks Sterling's largest takeover yet. The boardroom erupted into chaos. Family members frantically checked their phones, calling lawyers, financial advisors, anyone who might explain how their comfortable world had imploded so spectacularly. Sterling Enterprises, I continued, pulling up our company profile, currently controls 40% of global shipping logistics through our digital platforms. The Harrison Group acquisition was the final piece in our expansion strategy. But you've been working here. Jennifer protested. Running our operations department. Research and development, I corrected. Every failed project, every costly innovation, they were all beta tests for Sterling systems. You were so busy mocking my ideas, you never noticed they were revolutionizing the entire industry. My uncle's hands trembled as he read the acquisition details on his tablet. $15 billion. The share price. Impossible. Actually, I projected our financial statements onto the screen. Sterling Enterprises is worth considerably more than that. The Harrison Group acquisition is just a small part of our portfolio. Aunt Patricia, her designer suit suddenly seeming like a costume, found her voice. The board votes, the shareholder approvals, were all legally obtained, I confirmed. Those investment groups that have been buying shares? All Sterling subsidiaries. Your own greed made it easy. Everyone was so eager to cash out at a premium, no one bothered to investigate the buyers. My phone buzzed continuously with messages from the business world. Wall Street Journal, exclusive interview request. Bloomberg, breaking news segment. CNBC, market analysis of Sterling takeover. Jennifer, who'd spent years undermining my proposals in marketing meetings, looked shell-shocked. The digital platforms we rejected are now industry standard, I finished. Sterling Enterprises developed and patented them while you were all claiming technology was unnecessary. Those expensive experiments you shut down? They're now generating billions in revenue for my company. Richard stood up, his authority evaporating like morning fog. You planned this, all along. Of course I did, I replied calmly. When you forced me into operations instead of letting me lead technology development, I realized the Harrison Group would never evolve. So I built something that would. I pulled up more documents, years of strategic planning, acquisitions, and technological development that had transformed Sterling Enterprises from a startup into an industry giant. Every time you blocked modernization here, I implemented it through Sterling. While you were protecting your outdated methods, I was building the future. The family trust Aunt Patricia started is now under Sterling control, I confirmed. Along with the real estate holdings, the private banking division, and all subsidiary companies. As of today, the Harrison Group is just another division of Sterling Enterprises. My uncle's face hardened with one last attempt at authority. You can't just take our company. Actually, I can. And I did. I displayed the ownership documents. Your own short-sightedness made it possible. While you were all busy playing at being shipping magnates, I was building an empire that could swallow yours whole. The headlines kept rolling across the screen. Sterling Revolution. How one man transformed global shipping. Tech genius behind Harrison Group takeover. Industry giant falls to hidden innovation leader. Jennifer, always quick to shift allegiances, tried a new approach. Cousin Tommy, surely we can discuss position appointments in the new structure. Thomas, I corrected. Or Mr. Sterling if you prefer. And yes, we'll discuss positions, entry-level positions. It's time you all learned how modern business actually works. Entry-level. Jennifer's voice rose an octave. But I'm the marketing director. We're the marketing director, I corrected, pulling up her department's performance metrics. Your last campaign cost $4 million and generated zero measurable returns. At Sterling, we believe in data-driven decisions, not family titles. My phone continued buzzing with notifications. The business world was exploding with the news. Tech's hidden giant. Sterling Enterprises' secret rise to power. Shipping industry transformed. Inside the Sterling Revolution. Harrison Air revealed as innovation mogul. Richard slumped in his chair, his earlier bravado deflated. The other shareholders are quite happy with the acquisition price, I finished. Sterling Enterprises offered a 40% premium over market value. They couldn't sign the agreements fast enough. I projected a new organizational chart onto the screen. The familiar Harrison Group hierarchy had been completely restructured, integrated into Sterling's modern merit-based system. As for your current positions, I continued, they're all being reviewed. Jennifer, your new role will be in customer service. Time to learn what our clients actually need. Customer service? She sputtered. I have an MBA. From a university your father donated a building to, I noted. At Sterling we value experience over credentials. You'll earn promotions based on performance, not family connections. Aunt Patricia was frantically scrolling through financial documents on her tablet. The pension funds, the family trust accounts, are all secure, I assured her. Though the excessive management fees and consulting payments to family members will stop immediately. Sterling has strict compliance protocols. My uncle found his voice again. The board won't stand for this. The board, I smiled slightly, has already been dissolved. Sterling operates under a modern corporate governance structure. No more family directors rubber-stamping each other's decisions. I pulled up more documents, years of financial records showing the Harrison Group's decline under family management. Asterisk declining market share. Asterisk rising operational cost. Asterisk failed technological adaptation. Asterisk lost contracts to more innovative competitors. While you were all protecting your positions, I explained, the industry was evolving. Sterling Enterprises now handles 70% of global shipping logistics through our digital platforms. Platforms you all rejected as unnecessary expenses. The realization was finally dawning on their faces. Every modernization proposal they'd blocked, every innovation they'd dismissed, had been developed and implemented by Sterling Enterprises. Their resistance to change had made them vulnerable to exactly the takeover I'd executed. My phone buzzed again, messages from Sterling's executive team. Integration team ready to deploy. Press conference scheduled for 2 p.m. New management structure approved. Now, I stood up, straightening my jacket. Let's discuss your futures with Sterling Enterprises. Those who are willing to learn and adapt can stay, starting from the bottom. Those who aren't, severance packages are being prepared. The silence in the room was deafening as they processed their new reality. The family business they'd thought they controlled had become just another acquisition in my larger empire. One more thing, I added, picking up my laptop. Clear out your offices by end of day. Sterling's digital transformation team needs the space. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. They tried to fire me from my office, only to lose their own. The next few weeks transformed the Harrison Group, or rather, the Harrison division of Sterling Enterprises, into something unrecognizable to my family. The mahogany-paneled boardroom was converted into an open-plan innovation hub. Ancient filing cabinets gave way to cloud servers. The company's entire infrastructure entered the digital age, kicking and screaming. I watched from my new office, not Richard's palatial corner suite, which had been turned into a collaborative workspace, but a modest glass-walled room that offered transparency both literally and figuratively. Mr. Sterling, my assistant announced, your family members are here for their new position assignments. They filed in, looking distinctly uncomfortable in business casual attire instead of their usual bespoke suits. The dress code was another Sterling innovation. We valued practical efficiency over superficial appearances. Welcome to your first day at Sterling Enterprises, I began, pulling up their employment contracts. Let's discuss your new roles. Richard, stripped of his CEO title, sat rigidly in his chair. This is unnecessary. We have decades of experience in running a company into the ground, I finished. The Harrison Group's market value dropped 60% under your leadership. Sterling's rose 400% during the same period. I displayed their new assignments. Richard Harrison Jr. Operations Analyst. Patricia Harrison Accounts Payable Clerk. Jennifer Harrison Customer Service Representative. This is insulting, Jennifer protested. I ran marketing. Into the ground, I corrected, showing her department's performance metrics. Your last 5 campaigns had negative R. At Sterling, results matter more than titles. My phone buzzed with updates from the integration team. Digital transformation 40% complete. Legacy systems migration on schedule. Employee retraining programs launching. Your salaries, I continued, will be commensurate with your new positions. No more inflated executive compensation. Patricia's face went pale. But our commitments, our lifestyle, should have been managed better, I replied. The company jets are being sold. The executive car service is terminated. The luxury apartment leases paid by the company? Cancelled. I pulled up more documents, years of extravagant expenses charged to the company. Asterisk private club memberships. Asterisk family vacations disguised as business trips. Asterisk personal shopping sprees coded as client entertainment. All inappropriate expenses will be reclaimed, I explained. You can arrange payment plans with HR. Richard's face reddened. You can't expect us to live like normal employees? I suggested. Welcome to meritocracy. Your Hampton house, by the way, was purchased with misappropriated company funds. Sterling's audit team has the documentation. Jennifer, always the quickest to adapt, tried a new approach. Surely with my experience in client relations. You mean the clients who left because you refused to adopt digital tracking systems? I pulled up the customer churn data. You'll start in customer service, learning what modern clients actually need. My phone buzzed again, more headlines rolling in. Sterling Enterprises modernizes Harrison Group. Tech giants takeover transforms traditional shipping company. Industry dinosaur enters digital age under Sterling leadership. Your orientation begins today, I continued. Richard, you'll be shadowing our operations team, the one you fired last month. Patricia, accounting needs help with data entry. Jennifer, customer service training starts in an hour. And if we refuse? Richard asked, one last flicker of defiance in his voice. I smiled slightly. Then you'll be terminated without severance, and our legal team will begin proceedings to recover misappropriated funds. Your choice. The silence was deafening as they processed their options. One more thing, I added, pulling up the company's new organizational chart. Every position at Sterling is subject to performance review. Underperform and you'll be let go, family or not. How long? Patricia asked quietly. How long were you planning this? I opened my laptop, showing them Sterling Enterprises' growth over the past 5 years while they'd been dismissing my expensive experiments. Since the day you all voted to block our digital transformation initiative, I replied. While you were protecting your outdated methods, I was building the future. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy looking down on the tech guy. The irony was perfect. Every innovation they'd rejected had become part of the company that ultimately consumed theirs. Welcome to Sterling Enterprises, I concluded. Your new employee badges are with H. Don't be late for orientation, punctuality matters here. As they filed out, looking shell-shocked in their business casual attire, I checked my phone one last time. A message from my executive team. Global shipping platform launch successful. Harrison integration proceeding ahead of schedule. Future secured. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking over the family business, it's dragging it into the future it tried so hard to avoid.